One Last Kiss by Edward Peeler, also known as the Dread Pirate 42. The two girls snuck into the girls' locker room around 9 p.m., Marianne looking around first to see if it was safe, before beckoning for Brittany to follow. "Are you sure this guy can get us into this party?" asked Brittany. "That guy's, so gross." "Mac's totally cool, and yes, he can get us in. We'll just have to party with this guy a little bit, and then you're gonna have the best time." "Well, this better be worth it." They rounded the corner, and there was Mac, just having finished mopping. He turned to them, startled but expecting, a drop of sweat oozing off his temple. Marian bounded up to him, smiling, and planted a kiss on his gray beard. "Hey, Daddy." "Hey, beautiful. Oh, I see you brought a friend. Good." "Yeah, you know Brittany from my homeroom. You said to bring a friend to party with, and I always deliver." Brittany waved at Mac awkwardly and began to fidget. "She's a little nervous, Daddy. She just needs to loosen up a bit." "Does she need a visit from the candy man?" said Mac, as he reached into his shirt and pulled out a packet of white powder. Marian giggled and wrapped her arms around Mac. Brittany, at the sight of the coke, showed a renewed interest. "Anything for my girl," he said, as he leaned in for another kiss. "Wow. 20 years and you haven't changed at all." Mac jumped at the voice, and Marian cried out with a start. They turned to see a young black woman of about 23 with shoulder-length hair leaning against a locker, wearing a black catsuit and a dark red jacket. She straightened and approached, looking at both the girls. "Go home and go to bed, girls. Mr. Palmer and I have a lot of catching up to do." The girls bolted for the door as Mac began to stammer and drop his packets of cocaine. "Oh, it's not what it looks like. His gaze meets hers. "Hey, Sarah, right? Wow, you look amazing. It's been 10 years. She nodded with a big smile. "It's been 20 years. 10 years is how long your sentence should have been. And it's Chinwei, not Sarah. You knew that. Or at least you should know that. You knew me back then. You knew my parents. So strange that you've forgotten so much about a girl you swore was the love of your life back then." Chinwei! Yes, I knew it was you. How could I forget it? It's so good to see you. Why are you here?" "I came to track down the love of my life, of course. And here you are doing the same thing to these girls that you did to me." It's not like that." Beads of sweat poured down Mac's scalp. Why is she even bothering with this game? Why is he even? They both knew he's been had. But he can't help himself. Maybe he can talk his way out of this one, too. "You're the only woman I ever loved. You know that. I used to tell you so many nights back then. This is just a misunderstanding. We can keep this between us. There's no reason to." He begins backing away. Chinwei throws back a laugh. "I'm not here to tell on you, my love. I'm here to reminisce." She moves closer and caresses his shoulder and stares into his eyes. He looks back at her and finds her mesmerizingly beautiful, as enticing as he saw her so many years ago. Of course, she's a little old for him now, but he can make an exception this time. Her hungry eyes look through him. Her full lips pout and quiver as she moves in and kisses him, the kiss of desperate lovers parted for too long. He kissed back as she rips open his shirt and tugs at his belt. She kisses his neck, working her way up to his ear as he fondles her breasts and works to pull his dick out. He expected to fuck tonight one way or the other. Right as he got his cock in his hand, she licks his ear and whispers, "I wonder, did you ever get her pregnant too and make her leave the baby in the desert to die? Like you did to me." The color drains from Mac's face and the memory floods back. A chill runs down his back. She breathes again. "Don't worry, darling. You'll never do it to another little girl again." He cries out as the sharp pain tore into his neck. The woman's teeth bit into his aorta like a shark's maw. His red-hot blood erupts from his neck. He struggles, but she grabbed him by the forehead and slammed the back of his head into the lap, gulping down his lifeblood. He felt faint, but desperately reached behind and pulled out a silenced pistol. He shoved it into her gut and fired. She grunted but didn't move, so he shot again. She pulled off with 2 holes in her stomach, and his blood dripping from her razor-sharp fangs, and her eyes. He fired 4 rounds into her face. She dropped to the ground, and he emptied the rest of his magazine into her. He grabbed a towel to staunch the bleeding and hobbled out of the locker room, into the gym pool, almost falling over. He was so weak. He limped his way to the pool emergency exit, when a loud hissing caught his attention. He looked into the pool and stared. Water moccasins, cottonmouths, hundreds and hundreds of snakes had filled the pool and were swimming in his direction. Max staggered back when a sharp, burning pain entered his ankle. He looked down to see a rattlesnake recoiling from its first strike. He cried out and tried to run, but his ankle gave out as the hot neurotoxin crawled up his veins. He fell forward and crawled. The hissing grew louder as the hordes of snakes crawled out of the pool and surrounded him. He was 5 feet from the door when they leapt upon him, biting and stabbing and hissing. He thrashed and screamed in terror as they slithered all over him. He panted faster and faster as his breath grew shorter. One bit his lip, another bit his left eye. One fat muggsman chomped down on his cock. Screaming desperately, he used the last 1 ounce of his strength to slam against the exit, but it didn't open. As he hyperventilated, he looked up one last time to see her standing there. He howled in terror, looking at her face. Her hair was snakes, rasping, hissing snakes. Her eyes were black pits. Her jaw extended a foot down, showing off her gaping wall of bloody fangs, and black scales covered her face.
One last kiss, my love.
Max's shrieking was silenced by a viper sinking its poison fangs into his tongue. It swelled a black-purple as the venom numbed his system and shut it down. The last thing he saw before his heart gave out was the quivering form of a girl he victimized years ago, rushing towards his face. Her jaws crunched down on his skull, tearing bone and brain matter aside as she ate his mind and drained what was left of his poisoned blood. Decker and Evander burst through the door of the pool deck, handguns at the ready. "Chinway, are you all right?" called out Decker before Evander stopped him before walking in onto the snake. "What the... for Nodin's sake." The pool deck was a mess of serpents and blood and guts of what was once Mac Palmer were everywhere. One of Chinway's serpent heads perked in the direction of the disturbance, of where her huge, empty eyes turned in the direction of her fellow crusaders. She was continuing to chew on what was left of Mac's liver. "God damn it, Chinway, what the fuck did you do?"
Well, shall be so, well, you know.
Decker grabbed his radio and called it in. "Control, we need a cleanup crew at the high school. Better send Animal Control Unit 2. There were snakes everywhere."
No, I can take care of it.
She looked towards the snakes, and they instantly began to slither away, back to whatever vents to the sewers or holes in the walls they had crawled through in the first place. The rattlesnake who had bitten Mac's tongue was still eating, and not ready to leave yet. It stared at her and rattled its tail and hissed at her.
"Get out of here,"
Chinway said, her monstrous countenance unfazing the serpent. The snake turned away and left, irritated, rattling its tail the entire time. As Chinway's scales and snakes began to recede, she returned to her human form. Evandra approached, looking down at her, with soft eyes. "I knew this was too personal for you. You didn't have to come here. We could have taken you off this case." Chinway looked up at the worried elf, her kindly face made more beautiful by her golden hair and pointed ears. As Chinway's fangs receded and her pupils returned to normal size, she smiled. "No way. I've been waiting a long time to find this man. As you can see, I had a lot to say to him." So, Crusader, was it entirely necessary for you to deviate from the mission and paint the entire room with a janitor?" said Captain Bomble, patiently massaging his temples. The dwarf paladin had had a beautiful curly beard he prided himself on, but 2 years of Chinway's shenanigans had turned it very gray. "It was quite expensive to clean up. My suspicions were confirmed that Mr. Palmer was using the cocaine supplied to him by the cartel to lure in and group underage girls into sexual favors. This was confirmed by further surveillance that Palmer was coercing the girls into child prostitution. This proves that Fernandez's cartel's involvement in sex trafficking, as well as the influx of coke into the city. He was about to engage in sex acts with 2 minors when I arrived, so I intervened." Chinway expressed all of this with professional and matter-of-fact explanation that would have totally convinced the captain that her actions were totally justified if he had been the biggest idiot in the order. Fortunately, he was not. Of course, I was expecting him to shoot me. That pissed me off, and as you know, it's not wise to piss off a vampire. "Oh, okay. So you frenzied. We're using that excuse again." "I am not using that as an excuse. It was very painful. I'm not about to take that kind of crap from a rapist piece of shit." "Do you have any idea how much resources we have to use to clean up your mess? Cleaning aside, we had to pull strings to keep the school closed for a week and keep the press blacked out so no one knows a vampire snake woman eviscerated someone. We have numerous federal and environmental agencies close to exposing the church. We have reports of poisonous snakes cropping up in neighborhoods in a 3-mile radius around the school. We had to make up some bullshit about the sewers being backed up. You're stressing me out so much, my irritable bowel syndrome is acting up. My toilet looks like Chernobyl. You asked me to collect information. You didn't say anything about telling me how I should hunt for blood, which is outside my duties as the church or your purview. I wonder what the prince would say about a changeling interfering in kindred affairs. Oh, really? Really? You want to throw that Camarilla shit in my face? Why don't you explain to me how turning a man into tomato soup is not a masquerade violation? Don't give me that crap. He sighed, exasperated. Chinwei looked at a pen on his desk. I'm sorry I went rogue. I have a personal history with the suspect. And let's just say his crimes have had a dire impact on your life. It's just something I do. The captain put his head in his hands. Do you have the data or not? Chinwei hands him a flashlight. Here's all the data we have collected about the cartel's activities in the area. There's video surveillance files, everything we have on the drug shipment and sex trafficking. Good. Bombar bowed his head. Let us pray. Chinwei bows her head as well. The two prayed aloud in unison. Yog Sothoth, wisest of the old ones, we have sought knowledge in your name. May the wisdom we have gathered please your luminous orbs. May this knowledge be added to the Akashic record and be preserved for all time within you. You who is all-knowing and ever-present. May your secrets and lore transform and guide us. Ayah, Ayah, Yog Sothoth. The prayer ended and they raised their heads. We'll add this to our records and make a copy of it and leak it to the FBI. Good. Glad the knowledge will be put to some good. Yes, it will. Good job, I guess. Get the hell out of my office. Chinwei smiled and rose to leave. You're the best squad leader I could ask for, Captain, she said with a fangy smile. Yeah. As Chinwei turned to leave the room, Bombor called back. Oh, Crusader, next time I send you on a mission, could you at least radio in before you grisly murder someone? Could you do that for me? That'd be great. No promises, boss. Chinwei winked at him and closed the door. Bombor mumbled to himself and went back to his bed. The end for now.